the penguin who loved to dress up. In a land far, far away, there was a peculiar island covered in icy terrain. It snowed heavily every day, and on this island lived many penguins. Have you ever seen a penguin, dear children? You probably saw them on TV. These penguins were dressed in sleek black coats, with their snowy white bellies, and they waddled around in the most charming way. One day, a young penguin named Emma fell ill. She had a terrible headache and a persistent cough. Her dad used snow to soothe her back, and her mom placed ice blocks on her forehead to reduce her fever. However, Emma's condition did not improve. Fortunately, her grandmother came to visit. She brought out a thick, red hat and a beautiful green scarf for Emma, saying, "My dear, you've caught a cold. I've knitted a hat and scarf from wool for you. Wear them, and you'll feel better." Emma put on the hat and wrapped the scarf around her neck. She immediately felt all warm and cozy. In just a few days, her illness had completely disappeared. However, Emma couldn't bear to take off her red hat and green scarf. As soon as she stepped outside, her friends surrounded her. One of them said, "Look how beautiful Emma's hat is." Another one exclaimed, "Oh, Emma's scarf is the loveliest. Emma, where did you get these?" "Yes, tell us, what are they made of?" Emma was overwhelmed with all the questions. It's my grandmother's knitting." "Oh, Grandma said she made them from wool." "Wow, they're so beautiful." Everyone continued to praise Emma, with each friend vying to be the most fashionable. It didn't take long before a large group of penguins gathered outside Emma's grandmother's door. They were all clamoring for her to knit them a hat and scarf. "Oh my, these children!" Emma's grandmother shook her head. All right, kids, stop arguing. If you all like them, I will knit them for you, but slowly." And so, every day, Emma's grandmother knitted hats and scarves. She worked so hard that her back would ache terribly. Once she ran out of wool, she started collecting many colorful seashells from the beach and crafted beautiful necklaces for the little penguins. Some wore red hats and green scarves, while others adorned their necks with these necklaces. They happily swayed, parading around the island, comparing who looked the most beautiful, and none of them wanted to work anymore. When they grew hungry, they rushed to Emma's grandmother's house to ask for fish. As a result, her fish supply dwindled day by day. One day, the little penguins, decked out in their hats, scarves, and necklaces, formed a line and went to Emma's grandmother's house to request some fish. But when they entered the house, it was empty, not a single fish in sight. There was a note on the door that read, "Dear children, I've gone to a faraway island to visit your grandparents. You've all grown up and should catch your own fish. Looking stylish is not enough. To survive, you need to work. This is what makes good children." The little penguins, one by one, lowered their heads, taking off their hats, scarves, and necklaces. They returned to their own homes, working diligently alongside their parents and heading to the seaside to catch fish. Life started to become enjoyable for them. Several months later, Emma's grandmother returned to the island. Emma and the little penguins greeted her at the door with a line. When she entered the house and saw the piles of fish stacked like little mountains, she couldn't believe her eyes. These fish were all caught by the little penguins. Emma's grandmother was overjoyed, and she took out many beautiful little boots from her bag and gave them to the little penguins. The penguins erupted into cheers. They wore their red hats, green scarves, flower necklaces, and little boots and danced gleefully around their grandmother. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Find more story for kids.